the blood off of him yet or no?
This is a new one because
Oh.
my apartment flooded Christmas, or not apartment, the house flooded
Hmm.
Christmas in 2021, and the other Danny DeVito lost his legs because they got too soggy. So I have him hiding behind a bush in my backyard now.
Okay.
So people drive by and there's just a Danny.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I love it. So that's going to be an interesting start to the podcast because I hit live and then you asked that question, Will, and you're like, "Did you ever manage to get the blood off of him?" That's how this podcast started.
Yes.
So
Good
now
start.
you had that great start.
Oh yeah.
This is the CHRILLCAST Live. I'm Chris.
And I'm Will.
And I'm Andrew.
And I'm Zach, aka Wow.
Is it okay if we call you Zach Attack, or is that too much?
Actually, you can call me anything. Don't call me Zach Attack, because growing up, everyone's like, "Hey, Zach Attack, what's going on, man?"
I think I heard you say that before. That's the only reason I asked. All right. Well, if you guys don't know who WoW is, I'm not sure, how that is, but go subscribe to his channel, youtube.com/wowsuchgaming. The Doge is missing, but the WoW is still there.
Yeah.
All right. So before we get started, what do you like to play? What's your favorite game there, WoW?
Currently, all I do is play Overwatch. Overwatch 2. That's my peak game right now. But I'm currently playing Dead Space, the remake.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, I was going to ask you about that. We'll get to that one later for sure. But I was going to say, well, what did your channel start on? Because that's kind of relevant to the topic.
Oh yeah, Left 4 Dead. I'm actually
to branch out.
Oh yeah. I started with Left 4 Dead, and then I did the Why You Wouldn't Survive. But Left 4 Dead was my bread and butter for the first two and a half years. And I've covered every single subject from that, covering the campaigns, reviewing that, the survivors, their backstories, the special infected, how come they mutate that way, just everything you think of, even the weapons. Like, yeah, I've done that game inside and out. I mean, hell, I've got it tattooed on me.
And you played that originally primarily on the 360, correct?
Yeah, even in my YouTube days, I didn't have a PC, and I just streamed there. I didn't start streaming on PC version until when I moved here about 2 years ago. So the 360 version is what means a lot to me. I know there's a bigger community on PC with the modding, and it gets better updates because the 360 version hasn't been updated since 11 years ago.
It's been a long time, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, since we are going to be talking about this quite a bit, I haven't played as much Left 4 Dead as you. I will freely admit I've not played it as much as you have.
I would be scared if you played as much as me. That's an unhealthy amount.
But I have enjoyed it more recently because I used to be a huge Dead Rising fan. That is like my bread and butter when it comes to zombie games. Dead Rising is like my all-time favorite.
Oh yeah.
And actually, what's funny is the situation with Left 4 Dead is very similar to two Dead Rising standalone campaign editions, where the only way to get them is going through the Xbox 360 marketplace.
Dude, man, that 360 marketplace on the website is such I can cuss, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's such a bitch to maneuver and go through, because you think you could buy it on a console. It's like, no, you got to go to the website. You go to the website, you go to buy game, and it's like, oh well, you can't buy the game. You have to go through this link. And I've been trying to get my friend who doesn't have a disc reader in her Xbox to buy, and she has just been trying to navigate that for months now, and it's just a pain in the ass. That's why I had like 2 separate links on my tweet about it, because I was like, I don't know if it's gonna work.
Well, the even funnier part is if you try to make a purchase on the Xbox Live Marketplace for the 360 in the back-end version, Xbox.marketplace, whatever it is, it's pretty much impossible on a cell phone because the prompts that need to load won't load. You have to do it on a computer.
We found that out. We spent about 3 hours trying to do it for my friend because she was trying to join us, and she only had a phone, and it did not work. And you can't buy it as a gift for somebody either.
Nope.
And since she can't use discs, it's just a mess.
So that's one of the things that we need to get into, but I just want to go into the original story. The reason why I contacted WoW is because both him and I are very passionate about this specific issue, and that's the Xbox 360 Marketplace update, which to me is like one of the biggest deals in backwards compatibility and gaming legacy of Xbox probably ever because of the titles listed on the list there. So I got this notice in my email. Oh, what was that?
Sorry, that was on my end.
Oh, okay. Did it just like fall? It says a number of game titles and associated add-ons. That's something we're going to come back to later. Will be removed from the Xbox 360 marketplace in a select set of regions per title. And these removals will start on February 7th. That doesn't mean they'll all happen right on the 7th, but I imagine it won't be too long after that.
Yeah.
And this is once purchased, though, you can always re-download these games or any previously purchased games from 360 download history, which is a pain in the ass to navigate on your console if you've ever tried.
I've done that
it says
before.
to learn more, visit how to re-download content you previously downloaded to your Xbox 360. And then if you receive this error code, blah, 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 blah. But the list that we're most concerned with is when you go down to America here and you go down to United States, because that's where all of us live, let's be honest. This is what
there
you
is
get.
no other country.
Not one that matters. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, Chris, that was too far.
I'm sorry. That was too far. You're right. But the thing I noticed on there immediately was Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2, which, as we've already discussed, the only way to get those is the Xbox 360 marketplace, at least digitally.
Now, there have been people saying that it's only for the 360 console and its marketplace. You could still buy it online, but I don't know if the specifics, if that's true or not.
So the thing that I wanted to check, so when this goes live and they start moving titles, I want to use those links that you and I have both used to purchase this title in the past and see what happens.
Yeah.
Because
that's why I was urging people to buy. I mean, it's a lot more expensive than buying it on Steam, because usually on Steam it's only $2. But it's just going to suck when the only option is disc, because disc prices are going to go up.
Yep.
That's exactly what I was concerned about. But the other concerning aspect to this, and I'm not sure if anybody's really thinking about this right now, is and associated add-ons. So if people aren't buying the DLC for Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2, that's gonzo, and even a disc won't get you there.
Yeah,
although isn't there a disc that has some of the DLC? I could be wrong.
Left 4 Dead 1 has the survival pack that comes with it. It's the
Yes.
Game of the Year edition, but Left 4 Dead 2 never had an expansion or anything like that. So it will really suck, because the passing DLC is the one that gives you the mutations that has all the separate game modes and whatnot. So that will lock a lot of 360 and Xbox players if they get rid of that DLC, where you're not going to have a bulk of the content.
Well, you'll still be able to access it if you bought it. But if you have not bought it yet, you're screwed. Basically, Xbox will not be the place to play Left 4 Dead.
I am curious, though, how many new players are discovering this game on 360 right now?
Honestly, because I've been playing it, because I haven't streamed Left 4 Dead in 4 or 5 months. I had some stuff go on behind the scenes, and I was just like, I'm not going to play for a bit. So I've been playing on Xbox, and surprisingly, there's just a lot of people still playing on the Xbox version. I'll load up a game for Versus or Campaign, and it'll only take me about 2 to 3 minutes. Honestly, I even made a joke about it in my Back 4 Blood 1 year review. It took me a minute to find a Versus lobby for Left 4 Dead, a game made in 2009, on the Xbox, which there is no cross-platform. Versus Back 4 Blood, a game that is cross-platform. It took me 15 minutes, and the server shut down because somebody left.
Oh my gosh.
But I guess the question is, how many of those are new players versus people who just are passionate about the game since beginning?
I usually, because I used to be very toxic back then in Left 4 Dead, and when I was in a lobby with people, I'd go and look at their achievements to see how many they had to gauge their level. And there's a lot of people that barely have any achievements in the game, and honestly, I kind of gauge that as they're new to the thing. So
either new or they've never tried to get the achievements, right?
Yeah, that's hard, because there's a large percentage of people who just play multiplayer and never even touch campaigns.
But there are some achievements in the multiplayer for Left 4 Dead 2, right?
Yeah, there is quite a few. Like there's one called "A Spit'll Help for My Friends," a Beatles reference, where if you spit somebody that's jockeyed and whatnot. So there's really, really easy ones you can get, and ones that are really hard, like charging a survivor through a bunch of wedding chairs. It's called Wedding Crashers. So stuff like that.
Now, there is really, I will be honest, there's a few zombie games that really stick out as being extremely unique in the way that the gameplay, the game mechanics, the way they're done. Left 4 Dead is like the only squad-based zombie game previous to Back 4 Blood that really was unique in that aspect, where it had like that squad aspect to it, where people really wanted to play with their friends to get through the game.
It quickly spun off a genre that died at the same time.
Well, it's not dead if people are still playing it.
Well, I mean, the one game was good. I meant like the isometric or whatever you call isometric, but the 1 versus 4 game concept.
Mm-hmm. There's the Dead by Daylight series that is hailing strong, but that has spun a whole thing that's caused a lot of failed games as well.
Yeah.
It
seems like when somebody does it really well in such a unique way, like Left 4 Dead did and still does, it's a lot of copycats, but none of them live up to what the original is or was.
It's funny because I actually had a script that I keep pushing off because it means I'd have to play about 12 games for one video. It's Left 4 Dead clones and ripoffs, because there's one called Earthfall where it's a bunch of aliens. It's very clunky. World War Z tried it, and it's a third-person thing. It's okay. I'm not calling it bad or anything, but Aliens Fire Team was another thing, which that was hyped up, and then it died down like 2 weeks in. There's Dead Space 2's multiplayer, which was a lot of fun, where you can play the Necromorphs versus the survivors. Dying Light tried something with its multiplayer. Killing Floor 2 is kind of like that. So there's just a lot of stuff that tries to emulate the verses and the campaign elements of like every playthrough is going to be randomized and you're going against special versions in a horde-based type of kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So people have tried it over the years, but not to that degree.
But it is like a testament to how good Left 4 Dead 2 and Left 4 Dead 1 are still, that people feel this strongly about, like, hey, this is getting removed from Xbox. And like a lot of people, their first experience with Left 4 Dead was the Xbox. A lot of people went and moved to Steam because PC just, let's just say how it is, Andrew. PC is just better if you have a good PC in general. But if you started on Xbox, like, there's some nostalgia factor there, and like I would much rather play a console game because I'm not distracted by everything going on my computer.
I mean, Chris, it's just the UX basically that you're nostalgic for.
Yeah, but my Xbox isn't constantly like, hey, Skype is open. Do you want to close it? Or like, hey, this thing blue screen because you tried to open OBS at the same time as Fable 3 because you're a dumbass. So,
I mean, I think you just fail at setting up your PC gaming experience.
Sounds like it.
But like, I'm not gonna lie, if I didn't already own Left 4 Dead and all of the DLC for it, I'd be jumping on this and buying it right now. Like, that is something I would do.
Because hell, this time last year, I think it was about a year and a couple weeks ago, Halo and all of its games got taken off 360 when it came to the multiplayer services.
Do you know what the saddest part about that was? I hopped on Halo 3 at the tail end, like the couple days before they shut it down. There was no one.
Yeah.
Not a single soul on. I could not find a match.
Now you know why they shut it down.
Yeah.
Well,
it's just not
even like a couple days before that. I was like, wow, this is not getting the fanfare that Halo 2 and Halo 1. Well, Halo 1 didn't have that, but Halo 2 got so much fanfare when it finally shut that down.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Halo 3 got nothing. I was like, this is sad.
I think they're just admitting though that 360 is kind of gone, man.
Yeah.
I did just fire up my 360 and I finally got 7 Day Survivor and Dead Rising.
Yeah, but it's like I can't really fault Microsoft for removing their support for 360. That's old.
I mean, I'm not like upset about the 360 aspect of it. I'm more upset about Left 4 Dead is a backwards compatible title, and it's not in the Xbox One store. So by removing,
I wonder what the licensing issue is there, because I mean, it's not Microsoft doing that. It's got to be Steam.
No,
Valve, I guess.
I don't think Valve's not really stingy about their licensing with their games and whatnot.
But somebody else published most of these games for the 360 for Valve, didn't they? Wasn't it like Activision or something weird?
There was like some. I can't remember what the middleman was, but
I've got my orange box copy sitting right here. Let me go grab it and see if the publisher's on the actual disc box.
Okay. But it's just kind of like passing of the torch thing or turning the chapter. Where I understand why they're doing it, because hell, who's playing Cloning Clyde on the 360? I'm looking at the list here and I'm like, I don't know half of these titles. I mean
Counter-Strike Go isn't that still popular?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of Valve titles on here, like the Orange Box. I mean, that's a huge thing, and that kind of sucks because Team Fortress community is still huge too.
Oh yeah.
It just seems like it's a Valve issue, like they're just not.
It's not a Valve. I mean, Valve sticking it to Xbox, like it's about time. But in general, like it's not that. Like I don't think they care.
Well, Valve had a pretty good relationship with Microsoft because I know Gabe used to work under Bill Gates and all that, and he used to work for the company.
True, but that's all before Game Pass and the new direction Microsoft is taking, which is kind of a direction that is in conflict with Steam.
Yeah, where they get the 30% cut and all that.
Yeah. I don't see any other publisher on the orange box.
It might have just been direct then because they had a relationship. Because they didn't come out on PlayStation, so that was probably the stipulation.
Yeah, which is why I never played it. So
I was never much of a PlayStation guy. The only reason I even had a 360 is because I wanted to play Left 4 Dead 2 or Left 4 Dead 1.
See, I was a PlayStation person because they did single player RPGs much better, and also when I lived in the middle of nowhere, so internet was not the reliable thing for me to pay for a multiplayer service. So
I didn't know RPGs existed until Fable.
Maybe it was Valve and Microsoft that did this on the 360, and so when Microsoft's publishing rights end with the 360, they wouldn't be able to. They could make it backwards compatible with their aspect of it because that's what they did. Yeah. I've played this on my Xbox One, but maybe because they don't have licensing rights to put it on the Xbox One directly, then it just doesn't go on the store there.
I feel like it'll probably come back. They're gonna have people panic buy. Valve's gonna get a little bit of money, and then
if Valve did like a new orange box with like a whole bunch of stuff in it, like with HD,
as much as I would love that. Valve and game making has not been too productive in the last decade.
They did Half-Life Alyx.
I was about to say, the VR, because they like to do their innovation things, and that was part of their innovation. But
I'm still surprised they haven't done anything else besides that. What is it? The Day at Work game on the Steam Deck.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
See,
that was pretty cool.
I'm not that surprised, Chris. Think of how much money they rake in with Steam.
Yeah, Steam
they don't have to do anything.
Yeah, where's the true motivation to make new games when you're just making a boatload off of other people doing that?
There's also a lot of Ubisoft games on this list. Now that I'm looking at it,
yeah, it's
Ubisoft.
Almost all of them.
They probably don't care. That's Ubisoft for you.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think there's been rumors for a while now that the Ubisoft Plus or whatever it's called is coming to Game Pass. So that, again, as Andrew's mentioned, everything will become Game Pass at some point.
Just saying, man. I'm fairly cynical about the Game Pass route.
The Disney of gaming, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait,
I wonder if the rights are related to the Turtle Rock situation, because didn't Turtle Rock break free from Valve and do their own thing?
Well, so Turtle Rock, that whole thing is they came up with the idea of Left 4 Dead, but they partnered with Valve, and then Valve made Left 4 Dead 1, then they went on to Left 4 Dead 2, and then the guys at Turtle Rock, they had been conglomerated into Valve. They were called Valve West, and so the name was gone, but they're like, okay, if you guys want to go do Turtle Rock Studios again, we'll let you have the name, but we get to keep Left 4 Dead. So Turtle Rock isn't involved at all in Left 4 Dead at this point.
So Valve does.
They started it up, but Valve took it over.
Mm-hmm. Then I wonder what. Yeah, I guess there's probably nothing actually forcing them to not port forward.
Mm-hmm.
But probably they just have not made a new contract with Microsoft to put it on. If it's a backwards compatible title, there's probably not a lot of value. I think it's just them
there. Like, what's the point? We're doing everything on PC. Why do something for a console these days?
Yeah, that's a fair point. It is, it does run really well on the Series X from the footage I've seen.
Yeah, because I remember for a while when I had my Xbox One, I was like, man, they need to bring Left 4 Dead. I think it was 2015 it was 2014 or something. They announced Left 4 Dead would be coming to Xbox One, and it would get a performance upgrade.
Yeah, like a 4K,
which it was definitely noticeable. Yeah. And me and my friends were hyped because that's all we did in college. I spent way too many hours in college on that game.
See, there's one game on that list that just seeing the name of it makes me upset with the developer because they need to make a new game for that, and that's Prince of Persia. They need to take a step back from Assassin's Creed and make a new Prince of Persia.
Well, they're rebooting or whatever the Sands of Time, and did you see the initial reveal video?
No, I haven't.
They essentially canceled the game based on people's response to that video, It was only like a month away from being released, but it looks like trash.
The Prince of Persia one?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember some controversy on how bad it looked. I don't remember why it did this.
It looks terrible.
How long ago was that?
It's been a little while.
3 years now.
Oh, okay. That's why I did not remember. I probably heard of it back then. I just don't remember it now. But
so they're supposedly still working on it, but they are like rebooting the art style or something.
Oh, okay.
There is some like weird omissions on this list. Like, why is Star Wars KOTOR 2 being removed, but not KOTOR 1? And then like, that's kind of weird. And then neither of the Portal games are affected. So like all of Val except Portal.
Well, to be fair, Portal 1 is only in the orange box when it comes to Xbox.
That's a fair point. But Portal 2? That's
Portal
like
2,
the only one
that is a weird omission.
And then Dark Souls. Was there any other Dark Souls besides 1 on the 360?
Pretty sure 2 was, wasn't it?
Demon Souls was
PS3.
Demon Souls was only PS3, yeah. Dark Souls 2, I'm pretty sure was on 360 as well.
Oh, Jet Set Radio.
Yeah, it was on 360. I remember the box.
I did not notice Jet Set Radio earlier today, but
I thought that was the original Xbox.
It was.
Well, yeah, but they're removing the Xbox original titles too. So like that's why KOTOR is also on there too, and like Battlefront.
Which one is Assassin's Creed Liberation?
It's
that's
shoot.
Isn't
that one a
PS
garbage
Vita?
one? That's on Vita too. Yeah,
it's the 2.5D one, isn't it?
No. This is a full blown 3D one that was also ported to.
I thought that was
Vita.
Yeah,
I'm
99%
sure
only
it's
the
on
Vita one.
They added it as like a bonus game you could get through like arcade and Xbox One. And
okay.
Stuff. So I believe
it was not bad actually.
It ran like dog shit on the Vita though.
Yeah, but it was a decent game.
It's not a bad game, but it ran like.
It would have been better if they made it a full blown title, but.
I also find it curious that
soon, end of the year.
Only Mass Effect 2. Like that's the only one.
They're not 1 and 3, just 2. The best one.
Yeah, that is definitely
super random.
Lost Odyssey and Blue Dragon, which are actually only 360 titles. They never got ported to PS3 or anything else. Like one of the only Xbox RPG franchises ever, like produced by a Japanese studio.
Yeah.
I mean, you can still get them on the Xbox One, but there's a weird thing with the DLC. Like, there's 3 DLCs for Lost Odyssey, which is the only Xbox 360 game I've ever seen that takes 4 discs to run.
Damn.
But there's 3 DLCs. One of them was a pre-order only bonus. But the Japanese account, apparently you get it for free. So you can get all 3 DLC on a Japanese Xbox account. That's it. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, the one thing I did want to discuss is game preservation, because I mean that's a whole thing too.
It is.
Because I mean it's even with like Netflix and HBO taking down shows randomly, and random people are like buy physical, because you never know if a game's going to actually be there, or even if you buy something digitally, they'll be like, oh well, the license isn't there, so we're not going to let you access that no more. So in the last year, I've been buying up old games like crazy, because hell, I mean even the 3D All-Stars thing, I bought that. I bought a sealed copy because it's probably going to go up in value. But especially with Nintendo games, like shit, most of the Pokemon games having backwards compatibility for this. Do you know how much White 2 is worth right now?
A lot.
It's worth $250. Yeah. And I'm glad I still have it from when I was younger. But even games that are like corny as shit, like Shadow the Hedgehog, like I had to have that, because I mean there's no way they're ever going to port this damn game, the damn rodent with a gun.
No way. They'll never port that game.
But there's other games I'd love to see ported, like these two, Paper Mario and Simpsons Road Rage. Like,
dude, Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, great game.
It's one of my top 5 games. I love it so damn much. But it's just going into like, is it ever going to come digitally to current gen or not? And if it is, if it's going to be removed, because like Nintendo, here in 2 months the 3DS shop's going to be gone. I just
the more important one is the Wii U eShop, because that actually has full-blown Wii titles in it.
Yep, and then that's going to be gone as well.
Yep.
So and it's like
on the Wii U, you can get DS titles. I can play DS titles on my TV legally, not getting ROMs and playing on my computer, but I can literally buy DS ROMs directly from Nintendo legally and play them on my Wii U.
For now.
luckily, with a lot of these titles, it's not as bad as Nintendo, since Nintendo is
Yeah.
very exclusivity driven.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you could still play Left 4 Dead 2, and you could get it a lot cheaper and in a lot better condition with the PC version. But
Mhm.
still, there's
Yeah.
like just the collector version of it, or the nostalgia version. That's the main reason I play on Xbox, just to play with some friends too.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what bothers me the most is like if you're not going to port it forward, then why remove it? Like who's it hurting to leave it for sale?
For some reason, I think it's just maybe it's costing them server space to have these for sale, and maybe they're just trying to delete them because maybe it takes up space to have them available to download. That's all I can really think of.
Well, but they still have. So that's. I will say that excuse is actually incorrect in the aspect that if people can still re-download these later, then they're still hosting them somewhere.
It's still hosted there. That's true.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that. Yeah.
So like if you have to host it, you might as well sell it.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's not the game, but it's just the interface itself they don't want to maintain.
I guess
Well,
so.
here's my guess. My guess is that all these so most of these are third parties, whether they're actually exclusive or not. Like The Witcher 2, that's CD Projekt Red. KOTOR, that's Obsidian, although that's Microsoft now, so who knows? Or like for example, Left 4 Dead 1 and 2, those are both Valve, right? So my guess is it's not necessarily that the servers can't handle it. It's probably they have to pay a licensing fee to keep them in the marketplace.
That's true. I would assume so. Yeah. Because I mean, Mass Effect 2. I mean, we have the remastered edition, so it's like, why are we keeping this one up?
Because it's better.
It is. Yeah.
I
Yeah, of
have
course.
so I'm like one of the few people that owns all 3 Mass Effect games and all of the DLC, and I refuse.
Chris is
to
just
buy
salty
the
because they changed the butt angles.
I refuse to buy the Legend. No, there's the entire there's that entire DLC that's just missing in the new version. The one on the moon.
Mass Effect 1.
Yeah, that bothers
that
me.
one was trash though.
I mean, I'm not saying it was the most fun ever, but I'm still.
But it had a
annoyed
lot
that
of
it
butt
wasn't there.
angles, man. Okay.
No, it didn't. It was actually like this awful.
There was still a
arcade-
lot of butt
arcade
angles in the
shooter thing.
remastered version.
Yeah, that's not what I care about, anyways.
Miranda butt
I
angle
do
awesome.
not care about that at all. I'm not complaining about it, but I don't care about it.
I
that would
mean, I
never
like
have
looking at some marshmallows from time to time.
Although it is funny, like when you look back at Miranda's character, like here she is, I'm perfect, I'm so perfect. It's like, what the heck? Who is this person? Anyway, but yeah, I agree with you on that. Like the preservationist in me wants me to buy a lot of stuff, but the problem is with the Xbox 360 was the introduction of DLC. So if you buy these games physically, like we said earlier, you still may not get the full experience because of the DLC.
Yep, exactly. And another crappy part about it is for like Left 4 Dead 2, if you want to play in versus, if you try to pick a campaign that's only in like the passing has no mercy or the sacrifice has no mercy, and if you do Coldstream, which has all the Left 4 Dead 1 maps ported, which kind of sucks because if you don't have the DLCs for Left 4 Dead 2, what essentially made Left 4 Dead 2's DLCs so great is you basically had both the games in one, because it had all the old content brought in, all the old survivors, all the old campaigns. And so you'll be locked out of that as well. And if you're playing in versus, you won't be able to get into lobbies with other people because it omits you from those campaigns.
Yeah, it sucks.
And for similar reasons, The Witcher 2 bothers me, but I think that's available in the Xbox One
I feel like
store.
it has. They gave it to me.
I don't know for sure, but if it
Xbox
isn't,
Live
that's
Gold.
a huge loss because The Witcher 2 actually has really good controller controls, whereas on PC you really have to play with it to actually make it work well with a controller.
Yeah, I do want to, because you have the screen up. Try. And I'm not saying buy it, but try to go to the screen that allows you to buy Left 4 Dead 2 for your Xbox. It is so freaking stupid. Like from your browser, Left 4 Dead 2 Xbox.
All right, one second. See what it does.
I don't understand. Even from like 2016 or 2014, it was one of those years when that was first announced and it was put up. Unless you had the disc, it was not easy to set up. And I remember I had to spend an hour just trying to figure out how to get it bought so it's on my account. And
so I'm gonna have to sign out because I've already bought it. Oh, okay. You know what? Actually, it is gonna let me. Hold on, it'll let me That's weird. It's letting me
hit buy game. but it's not going to actually work. It'll just send you back to the same screen.
Watch this. Let me
Chris is gonna buy it again.
No, I'm not going
He's
to.
gonna buy it like 10 times.
What's funny is it doesn't recognize that I own Left 4 Dead, but it knows that oh no, there it is. Okay, yeah, it doesn't know that. Never mind.
Mm-hmm.
It figured it out. I was like, dang.
Yeah, if you hit buy game, it just brings you back to the same screen.
It probably won't let me do anything because I already own it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna pull this off in case there's payment information. Just give me a second.
I don't think
it's
so.
making me
It's just
relog
gonna
in.
loop. Yeah, it's just gonna
log
relog in over and over and over again.
Nobody needs to see my login info though. So
yeah. Oh yeah, true. Very true.
Get tons of friends.
Yeah, it is. You're right. It's an endless loop. So what? So just so you know, when I went and bought this, what I had to do was fire up my 360, and I thank God I have the chat pad because it would have taken me forever to type all this crap in. So I typed in Left 4 Dead in the marketplace, and I bought it through my Xbox with my PayPal account.
So not to derail you, but you have a chat pad.
Yeah.
So you use that to talk shit on multiplayer, didn't you? That's the only reason people bought that back in the day, was so they could go on a Call of Duty lobby and that. Some people could fire that off so quickly back in the day. I was like, damn, he's got a chat pad.
I've got actually, I like the chat pad so much. I have the Xbox One chat pad that's actually.
Oh, wow.
Do you know how expensive those freaking things are? I'm going to show you.
The Xbox One had one.
See,
yeah, mine was like $10, but it never worked.
Xbox One chat pad. The official OEM one is god awfully expensive. Yeah, $100.
What?
$100. I'll show you. $100 for an Xbox One chat pad.
That's basically as expensive.
This is a broken
as
one.
slider
A broken
phones,
chat
man.
pad. $35 for a broken chat pad shipped.
That's stupid.
I should have kept mine and it just said it worked.
$90. $900. I managed to find one. Like some guy obviously didn't realize it was worth any money and had it up for $25. So I immediately sniped that.
Wow.
But yeah, look at how expensive. Like one in the box, $200.
That must be from when the Xbox One first came out.
That's the only time they launched. I'll go grab mine just so you can see it. It's actually
Chris
really
has
nice.
to prove that he has it.
Well, hell, these days when I'm playing Overwatch and someone's talking trash to me, the fun thing is you can just go on your phone and type on that now. You don't have to use anything.
So there's
like
the two
that.
chat pads. They look very similar.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, I always wanted one of those in my trash talking days.
Were you talking crap about me while I couldn't hear you?
Yes.
Oh, you know it.
But no, I like to be able to type messages out. And like when I want to search for things, like I hate using the button by button typing through the keyboard. It's awful.
Dude, I got so used to doing it though. It's funny, my family went because I would be setting up their Xbox back like 10 years ago, and I'd sit there.
Well, yeah, you get fast at it, but it's not. It doesn't get more fun.
No, yeah, not at all.
So, but yeah, I mean, these are like that. That's my preservationist attitude. When I found out the chat pads were expensive, I was like, I want one. Like, I really want one of these because I'm never gonna like. They'll never be more affordable. If they're expensive now, it's not going to get more affordable unless Microsoft puts out a new revision of it for some reason.
I doubt it. Now that they have the compatibility with phones.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and they got keyboards now too. They're putting what Age of Empires on the Series X.
Yep,
that's crazy.
Yeah. You know, Chris, when you first told us about this, though, my first reaction was surprised that you were like, "Gotta buy it now, digitally. Buy it now. Buy it now."
No, the DLC.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, your first
I don't
mad dash to buy things digitally versus like, no, this is why you should always own it physically.
Yes, you should, but the thing is, the DLC will go missing and you'll never get it. That's my issue.
Just get the DLC then.
Well, yeah, exactly. Just get the DLC. In fact, I would encourage Left 4 Dead fans, if they want to get it on 360, if they're going to get a physical copy, or as long as they have a working disc drive. Obviously, WoW's friend didn't have that. You really should just get the DLC ahead of time because you're never going to be able to get it later.
Mm-hmm.
That's my PSA about this. It's like if there's any of these games, if there's any games here that you want all the DLC for, you got to get it now.
I just feel like they're going to kill the 360 marketplace altogether.
Yep.
Yeah, they're most likely going to be doing that because the 360, God, it's almost 20 years old.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm just happy I finally got my Dead Rising achievements before they shut that baby down.
Mm. Good luck with that, man.
That was on my bucket list, was to get 7 Day Survivor and Dead Rising.
Some people want to like see the world, hike in a cool country. Chris is, I want to get that 7-day survivor. Mission accomplished.
I needed Arthur's boxers, man, and the energy sword.
But I see Demon Corp said in the chat, will this affect Xbox One and Series X storefront? Like I said, that it's been kind of vague. I'm not 100% sure whether or not it's going to affect those.
I did try to buy it from the Xbox One marketplace. You can't do it.
That's what I was going to say.
No, you can't do it on the console. You have to do it. It's always been that way, though. You have to buy it through the website.
And that's why I think so. There's two different marketplaces. Did you know this? Wow, there's two different marketplaces on Xbox.com. There's the main Xbox.com marketplace, and then there's marketplace.something.xbox.something. And I think that's actually the back end for the 360.
Yeah, I think it's like the Microsoft side.
Yeah, if they're going to remove it from the Xbox 360 store, my concern is it's going to be gone from both the back end server that we use to buy it and from the 360, and therefore it will no longer exist on Xbox at all. That's my concern.
Yeah. Which is a fair assumption because, I mean, them going forward, it's like, why keep these up? And it's understandable, but it still sucks.
Yeah.
Now, I think another thing we can kind of talk about here, since this is such a just a lousy subject in general because it sucks with the Left 4 Dead get removed, is the Dead Space remake. Like, here's a good conversation: is like Dead Space has been around for a long time, right?
Yeah.
But a remake does not always replace something one for one. So how do you feel about the Dead Space remake?
I've been playing through it. I'm only about 2 chapters in. I think it's pretty faithful. I know they added voice acting for Isaac Clarke, which, I mean, it gives a different type of... I don't like when remakes are just one for one. I like when there's like new stuff to do, but it doesn't like take away from the experience.
Exactly.
There's more blood, there's more gore, there's more character. So I think it's great, and I like the fact that you could still play the original if you want. Like, I can't remember what remake there was where they made a remake and then they got rid of the previous version. I can't remember what game that was. It was like almost a year ago or something. But I don't like it when games do that or developers do that.
I'm not sure. So I remember that being kind of a controversial thing, and I can't remember which game it was that had that happen to it. But I remember exactly what you're talking about.
Didn't WoW do that?
World of Warcraft. Oh, World of Warcraft Classic, right? Or something like that.
when they they revved it up, you can no longer play the old one.
Yeah, they got rid of it.
Yeah, there's also like remasters that are not. So here's something funny. When I was doing the Dead Rising achievements, just rolling it back there because this is the most recent thing I did. What was funny was how many people thought I was doing it on the Xbox Series X because you got quick resume. And with quick resume, it makes the 7-day survivor so much easier because you can basically shut the thing down to like the standby, and you don't lose your progress. Whereas on the 360, you have to hit pause and pray to God this thing doesn't shut down on you.
Yeah.
And so my 360 was on and running for like 3 days while I kept hitting pause and walking away to do normal daily activities and then coming back to it. But that's something that like you just don't have that same gut-wrenching feeling of, oh God, the Xbox is going to turn off. Like, and you don't feel I don't feel it'd be the same. Like I could have done it on the Xbox One. I could have done that.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel like it would be the same feeling for me.
It's not genuine.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
it's not
there
pure.
are remasters
I just want to be pure.
Or maybe they fix a glitch in a remaster and then it changes the way things work. Or like they patch out a glitch in Halo Infinite, and now people can't do the things that they saw on YouTube 3 months ago. So, like for me, there is some nostalgia to the Xbox 360.
That's more of a remaster, not like this. The Dead Space is a complete remake. They redid the entire thing.
Yeah,
that's what I'm
it's
saying.
Kind of like the Destroy All Humans one they did.
Yeah,
1 and 2, which were
although
amazing.
Destroy All Humans wasn't there controversy over the art choices.
They made it more cartoony, but I mean, going from Xbox graphics to Xbox One, it kind of makes sense that they were trying to kind of keep it goofy. Because, I mean, Xbox graphics, they were trying to be serious, and it still looked cartoony because that's just how everything was back then.
Yes.
One of the best examples was the face shape of Fable characters.
Oh, yeah, the Fable Anniversary. Oh, my goodness.
I think the biggest controversy when it came to Destroy All Humans was the dated humor. because there was a Japan level and they had Gojira type stuff, and they're like, they have to put a disclaimer at the very beginning saying this is a product of its time. We do not endorse this. Yada yada yada. But
I appreciate that they kept it in though,
Yeah.
but with the disclaimer for people who need the disclaimer. So that's cool.
Mhm. Yeah.
Usually they would just cut that out, and then you'd be like, well, there's a whole section of the game missing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of cutting content just to meet the modern mainstream media aspects, but I don't have any issue with them like throwing up a warning like, hey, this is from a different era, like just take it with a grain of salt.
I know they did that with Dead Space. Is they had to throw up a content the graphic warning, basically talking about how bloody and gory it's going to be, and some people were like, oh, that's woke culture, PC culture, you can't handle blood. Like, some people just have a fear of blood, but I mean, it's literally just a blurb that pops up, boom, you're done.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of funny just because it's Dead Space. So what do you think you're buying? But
yeah, exactly. It's like you know what you're getting into, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you want to be able to turn blood off, PC is the way to go because that's like the only platform where you can literally turn blood off of any game. Really, there's usually a mod like remove blood. Although there's also mods that add more blood. So there's that.
Yeah, Left 4 Dead definitely has one of those.
I don't know, the disclaimer thing. I'm always conflicted because it's just like kind of pointless. It's like you're buying the art, this game, which is a form of art. Just let it speak for itself. Like, you bought it for a reason. If you're so triggered by something in it, it's like, that's on you.
Well, the reason they do it is because it's kind of like when you make a YouTube video and you have to be like, these are my opinions. It's not indicative of what the game is like. It's like you have to put that there because people are going to bitch. People are going to complain. It's like, we're not putting it here because we want to. We're just doing it as a preventative measure.
It's not usually for the fans either. It's usually
I would respect it way more if it was a simple disclaimer that says we are not responsible for your feelings. There you go. Like,
this game is very scary.
Yeah.
If you're wanting like sunshine and flowers to pop out of them, I don't know what to tell you.
Like, my disclaimer: suck it up, Buttercup. And then
I love the South Park disclaimer where it says no one should watch this. Perfect. That's a perfect disclaimer.
Actually, one of the best things that could be inserted is that clip from the Talladega Nights Battle to Ricky Bobby where he goes, "If you don't chew Big Red, then F you." Just put that in the front, like no disclaimer, just this. F you. Okay, I know what kind of game I'm getting into.
At this rate, I feel like it's better to just mock the disclaimer than to put a serious disclaimer.
Yeah, exactly.
I respect it more.
I mean, like I said, if you're not actually impacting the artwork itself and you put a disclaimer in there, I could care less. If the disclaimer comes up and then I still notice that stuff's gone and I'm like, WTF, then that would bother me.
Okay, but isn't the disclaimer basically rated M or whatever it is with the reasons it's got the rating? Any other disclaimer is kind of like, come on.
Well, I think the reason is because parents still buy rated M games for their kids, and then when gory stuff happens, they're like, "What is my child?" It's just like,
it's like,
girl,
oh, I bought
the game. It's like taking your kid to an R-rated movie and getting pissed that there's a sex scene.
Yeah, it's like, I bought my 5-year-old.
There's a reason.
GTA,
like, it's not rated R for really cool for kids.
Yeah, it's just like, whatever. I want Timmy to not be bugging me all day. Go play your game. Oh, they said the F word. Oh, I gotta rouse some shit.
Write an angry letter.
Yeah.
Imagine if one of those Karen parents walked in on their kids and they saw the casino in NBA 2K20. Mm-hmm. They're like, my kid doesn't play at the casino. Like, start calling up EA or 2K tech support.
No.
That would require them to actually check in on their kid.
That's true.
They would be more likely to walk in on them playing GTA and then just find out that their kid was killing hookers, and they'd be like, why is he allowed to kill hookers? They wouldn't be upset about the hookers. They'd be like, why isn't he forced to respect them? And then
I don't understand where you're going with this one.
What? No, they'd be mad that they were killing the hookers instead. Whatever. Instead of
that's how you get money. Remember, Will said if you kill the hookers in GTA,
no. You don't kill them. You give them the car. They heal you. And you toss them out. You don't pay them.
Oh, okay.
I learned that as like an 8-year-old.
Yeah, you want to get healed? Steal their money back after they heal you.
But I prefer the disclaimer over the licensing agreement, where you have to like click through a bunch of things like you don't own this game.
There's
It
a
can
lot
be
of
taken
games
from
that do
you.
these days. I
Yeah,
hate
and that's
those.
like my only thing with Steam is like I love the aspect of Steam that they have sales all the time and the games are usually the value there is there. But I recognize like I'm not going to usually buy a full price game through Steam because at any point Ubisoft could decide that I no longer own Assassin's Creed or what is it, Might and Magic 3 or whatever it was they pulled the license from. And I'm like, that's a little sketch. So like I never pay full price on Steam.
I'm confused
Well, yeah,
because
so, like,
you can still play those if they're downloaded, I thought.
You have to crack it though. So technically you have to take a measure that's in a gray area legally in order to continue playing some of those games. So like that bothers me.
Something that bothers me is Destiny 2. I think it's a great example of not really owning your game. I paid full price for that game, and they ripped out the entire campaign. Now it's like,
wait, really?
They rebooted it, and they have the annual campaign that they add on to it, the however many months apart campaigns that they add. But I can't play the original part.
Hey,
You could
right,
if you uninstalled it and turned off your internet and just let it boot up. You could probably still play that original campaign.
If you play it off a disc, I think, yeah.
I think the biggest mistake was, playing Destiny. So,
hey, it was repetitive, but I did like the first one.
Just saying.
That's a controversial take.
I'm just not a fan of the way Destiny was for multiplayer.
Andrew is nothing if not controversial. He's always on here disagreeing with 90% of the populace.
That's fine. I don't care.
So, wow, I know we called you on here for Left 4 Dead specifically, but I have another topic that I'm sure Andrew would love to talk with you on, and that's how good is the Left 4 Dead series on HBO? What's your personal opinion?
Not Left 4 Dead. You mean
not Left 4 Dead?
Last of Us.
Last of Us.
Oh my god!
The other zombie game. Chris.
I was like, "There's a Left 4 Dead series." Shit. Who'd they cast as coach? Let's go.
Wait, who? Okay, that's a good question. Who would be your perfect?
The actual voice actor would be perfect.
Chad
He's already in the
Coleman.
zombie movie.
Chad Coleman. He played Tyrese in Walking Dead. That's
they did
right.
him dirty
I forgot
in that
about
show.
that.
Yeah, they really did. But have him playing that. Actually, I did a video a few years ago talking about who they should cast for each one and whatnot, but I can't remember who I did. But yeah, but the Last of Us series has been fantastic in my opinion. I mean, it can stretch on for some parts, but I feel like, the first episode, there was like 1-to-1 parts, but the main thing I'm liking as a lore channel and liking to know, because when it comes to zombie media, when it comes to the thing that starts the zombie apocalypse, it's vague, it's out there, the answer's out there somewhere, but we're not going to tell you, but it somehow took over the entire world and you have to accept that. This, it's like, we have the cordyceps, we have this like interview. I'm kind of going, I don't want to spoil anything, but just talking about how it started, how it spread, and the reasoning of how it took over so many people at once. It was great. And each episode gives you like those nuggets of information that the game never did. So in that aspect, I love that a lot. So I'm liking it.
It was to what you just said. The most recent episode had a lot of discussion about that. But
there wasn't too much on that. There was a conversation between Joel and Ellie.
Yeah, that was the conversation I'm referencing. It had a lot about how so many people got infected, basically. I wasn't a huge. The most recent episode really annoyed me because they went so down the rabbit hole of two characters that like their background when they're not really that vital to the game. And
well, they're gonna deviate. I mean, they're
okay.
The characters.
I
know who you're talking about. So.
You'll understand why it upset me. I want to know what happened to Joel after his daughter died before he made it to Boston.
Part. Yeah.
That's what I wanted to see.
They always
more.
Skim over that.
They always skim over it. His whole how he meets Tess and everything. Like, I would have been so appreciative of something in that vein a little bit more to draw out this series, maybe make it a 2-season thing for sure. Just on what the first game is.
It was renewed.
It was renewed, but there's a part 2
Yeah,
I know. Well, we don't know if
game.
part 2 will be
Yeah.
season 2. Maybe season 2 will be a continuation of part 1. Because I know we do get it did show that Ellie's backstory will be involved in the season. So it feels like there's going to be a lot of backstories for episodes. So we can't omit that. I mean, we still have 6 episodes left.
Right.
So maybe there will be more of Joel's backstory. Because this series, the TV series, is all about we're going to just dump information at you about the cordyceps, about this certain character in episode 3. I'm really appreciative of that because I don't know if any of you guys are anime fans, but one of my favorite shows of all time is One Piece. One Piece is one of my favorites, and what they'll do is they'll spend 4 to 5 episodes on a flashback of a character that you don't think is going to be significant, and then like 6-7 episodes later, that flashback will actually have some relevance. So I know the issues with episode 3 a lot of people have, but I'm holding out that there was like plot elements of their character development and what he said at the end that will feed into Joel's character. I feel like that will kind of be a linear thing. So I'm going to hold out. I'm not going to be too mad about having the flashback for this side character because we still have 6 episodes to get through.
Yeah, it could be very important. Yeah, it's hard to judge a series
the grand
until
narrative.
the end.
I'm saying it as of right now, unless I get the flashback for Joel, I think I might, because of the fact that they've done these other flashbacks now, it will impact my rating of the series as a whole if I don't get that for Joel.
I honestly think they're going to do that. They're probably going to do a flashback in the either second to last or last episode leading up to. I mean, I don't want to spoil the game, but at this point,
I think it's when he meets up with his brother. They might give you a backstory to how they coped with everything after that,
yeah,
and how they ended up splitting up, where he became a Firefly and everything. I think that they'll have a big backstory there, flashback. But I mean that at the pace they're going, that could almost be basically the second to last episode, not them going to the one area and everything at the end. So
I feel like that would be one of the best like arcs they could give to Joel, is that emotional arc that we never got in the first game that felt like it was cut short in the second game, where he, you know what happens to Joel. It would be kind of a nice little redemption for just the whole story to give Joel that extra bit, I think.
I hope they restructure that story where basically that scene from the second game happens much later the story.
They do have the creative license to do that. So
I mean,
what if they just don't kill Joel? Okay, let's say, what if they completely split the arc right there, and they completely said, "Nah, we're not doing Last of Us 2." Like, how would you guys feel about that?
I mean,
I think they'll fill in the gap between game 1 and game 2. That's what will happen.
I thought the creator said that they are basing season 2 off of part 2. So
they may have said that. I was just curious just how you guys would feel, like, because I know there's a lot of people that would like that and a lot of people that wouldn't. It's a very divisive game.
I hate to interject, but I just had a thought of, what if Joel's about to get hit with the golf club and Ellie just comes out of nowhere, just not today, just some Avengers shit.
Yeah. I love it. I'd be all about it.
I'd be a fan of it just because I thought Joel's character was disrespected in that part 2. I just thought that's who most people actually were fans of as far as characters go in the game.
I thought it happened too soon. It was it was not. In
it
my
was
opinion,
rushed
it was bad
for the sake of
structure.
killing him. It was rushed for the sake of killing him.
Well,
I mean, on Ellie.
We could all see that in Last of Us 2, Joel was most likely going to die because he's the gruff old guy and he has to pass on the knowledge, pass the torch to the next generation. So it was a given that he was going to die. I think them doing it early. I mean, I've had this discussion with people before. Is as much as it sucked in the real world, we don't get to decide when people we care about die. And just for him to die like that, I think that was way more emotional than, we had this whole story leading up to it. We have all this knowledge of the first game, but just for it to be so immediate, swift, it's a zombie apocalypse. There's people that are going to kill you at any moment. I think, I'm not saying I preferred it, but story-wise, I think it makes sense for it to be something that's not built up. It's just swift and out of nowhere. So I'm not saying I condone it, but at the same time, it's like it felt more real in my opinion versus, oh, this is how a story's supposed to be. Oh, we're getting close to the end of the game, so Joel has to die in a noble sacrifice.
Oh, well, I wouldn't say, okay, I would take it where I have nothing wrong per se with where he dies in the story. I have more of a problem with where they start the story because.
Well, don't they make Joel like just a little too angry as an old dad the way he was? Like, I felt like his character shift was pretty stark.
Well, I feel like they could have done more. Like, they could have started the game earlier in the story of like to explain a little bit more of where Ellie and him kind of have that more of a fallout concept and everything. I don't know.
It seemed a little abrupt. The fallout. I did watch a full stream of the game because I love the story of Last of Us 1. But I actually cannot stand the gameplay. So like for me, it was like watching a movie.
It's just one of those things where it felt like the way they structured it was purposely to just try to be shocking for the sake of shocking and not good story writing. I don't know. It just seemed forced the way they did it in my opinion.
I can get that, yeah.
So it's like if they did a TV series for part 2, I would hope they filled in more of the gaps between part 1 and part 2 to at least build into it, right?
And they can always Game of Thrones them, and like the death is out of nowhere, so you're not really building up to a moment. It's not like the very beginning of the season, with the first episode. It's like, oh, this character is gone now.
I actually don't think that doing it at the very start of the season would be necessarily a bad thing. It just needs to be done right.
There needs to be a legit build up to it, right? Because that's where I got kind of put off by its structure in my opinion.
It needs to be a baseball bat, not a golf club.
I was just about to say that. I was going to say, what if they pull a season 1 ending where it's just like Negan at the end saying, "Eeny, meeny, miny, mo," but now there's a golf club involved, and now like, oh, does Joel die or does Ellie die?
Yeah, I mean, it was like, okay, I would put it this way. It'd be like the way they structure it is as if like Bran in Game of Thrones getting dropped from the tower. It doesn't feel like the end of the first episode. It feels like it's early in that episode still when they killed Joel. That's where I feel like he's done dirty. It just feels like they rush that sequence of story just to get to the shocking and then to force Ellie on this revenge tour. And there's no like introduction to where they've been, what they've done since you last seen them. You leave them on a happy note. You come back, they're pissed with each other. It's just raises a lot of questions that I don't think you ever feel like you get satisfactory answers to either. Personal opinion.
Yeah. I actually think Last of Us 2 as a concept, part of the point of it was that the happy ending, it's not real life in this zombie apocalypse. And the longer this thing has had time to sit and kind of sizzle for me, the less I'm angry about the story. But I do think that the writing was a bit rushed and ragged, and it could have probably been written a little better.
I have complaints with the way they did the hostile factions, though. I feel like that could have been a lot tighter, a lot more concise. They have 3 different factions in that game.
Yeah, there was one more right at the end too when Ellie.
Yeah, that one at the end is pointless. That's my problem with it.
Yeah,
that one at the end is just like, why you don't need this new faction? You just spent the entire game developing 2 other factions. Don't add a third just for.
Well, for me, when it came to that faction, she went across the damn country, and I don't expect a faction to exist in a broad sense of the United States when everything is so fractured. And honestly, when it came to that faction, it was nice that we didn't get all the. I mean, I'm the lore exposition dump guy, and I'm sitting here I'm glad we don't know much about these guys. It's with something like Left 4 Dead, since this is about Left 4 Dead. A lot of stuff is what is it called? Environmental storytelling, to where you can only get what's going on just by looking at what their compound was doing, like keeping zombies or not zombies, addicted, chained up out in the front. I kind of liked that about the faction because honestly, like I said, this is something that's so far removed from whatever the Fireflies were, whatever Abby's group was doing, that I didn't mind it. There was just probably just I think it was like just a bunch of rednecks that were just chaining people up and shit, right? I think it's fine for what that was worth, and that we didn't really get to explore that. It was just, I'm gonna find this person, I'm gonna hunt them down, even though they captured her. So I didn't really mind it that much.
It was weird because of how the two other factions seemed to be at war with each other,
Mm-hmm.
and then in her revenge tour to get Abby, she ends up finding this third one that's just there. I don't know. I'm still.
I feel like the
it.
amount of factions that would exist in societal collapse like Last of Us is, would be pretty significant, because you'd have so many like closed pocket factions across the entire like globe, separated by, you know, miles of zombies roaming.
Yeah, it's just weird to me still that the story progressed beyond, like, once she found the two factions that included Abby's group. It's like, it's still weird that it went beyond that further to me.
Wow, you are like the lore junkie of Left 4 Dead. Like, you are that guy. So my question for you is, if they made a Left 4 Dead TV show, do they have enough material to fill an entire season or multiple seasons with it, do you think?
From the stuff I've done, I mean, or the stuff I've covered, possibly. But the thing is, with the Left 4 Dead zombies, they're just so fucking violent, brutal, fast. That, I mean, think of all the major zombie TV shows: Walking Dead, Last of Us, and what was that one?
There's 4 Dead Rising movies too, or three Dead
That's
Rising
true.
movies.
But there was one. It's like a comedy zombie series. I can't remember it. Black Summer was the prequel. It was on Sci-Fi. I can't remember the name of it for the life of me. Z Nation. Z Nation.
Yeah.
Z-Nation,
But with a lot of these zombie stuff, it's always slow moving. It allows characters to breathe, to explore the dynamic of humans are the true monster, because everything that as a post-apocalypse has to have that narrative, which I like it a lot, but it's just like, you know, I'm here for the zombies, but I get it. I understand. But there's a reason 28 Days Later never had a TV show, because good
Too
God.
fast.
Yeah, it's really hard to write around that. That's why 28 Months Later has not had a movie yet, because they die off quick and they can kill you quick. So it's just hard to write around that. So I really can't see a TV show around Left 4 Dead. The only thing that's close is I have a friend that does animation and SFM. She hasn't done it in a couple years, but she did it with Left 4 Dead, the Dead Center campaign, and used all the voice lines to make it really kind of a movie experience. I highly recommend it. It's really fun to watch, but just something in that vein where if you could just repurpose the characters and just have them like that, I think it'd be fine just going note to note for the campaigns and what they did. But honestly, I don't see it translating well to a TV show.
Maybe a movie then would be better.
Yeah,
off.
movie. Yeah, because it's so condensed. Because each campaign is the original intent of the Left 4 Dead 1 campaigns, where each one were supposed to be a separate horror movie, not supposed to be chronological or connected. And then everyone's like, "Oh, they do connect because they crashed from the airplane and they somehow got in a military truck."
You know, if you give people long enough time with material without explaining it, somebody will figure out how to make a timeline out of it.
Oh yeah,
the fact that the Zelda timeline even exists is
it's insane. I've seen the graphs and whatnot. Like, there was even a fan made campaign called Coldstream, and I went into this whole thing. I researched all the major national parks between Savannah, Georgia, all the way to what was it? Where's Mardi Gras?
New Orleans.
New Orleans, yeah. So go from Savannah, Georgia to New Orleans. I looked up every single national park with any major rivers, trying to connect where is this located, how does this fit in the timeline, all that kind of stuff. So fans are always going to connect the dots there.
100%. Yeah, that's just how fans are. They just want to connect the dots.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's like the Pixar theory, how every single Pixar movie is connected. I think it's pretty out there, like trying to put Cars into that timeline.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you want to talk about some creepy things. You think too hard about Cars. Think about how Mater lives in a junkyard parts place. He's like living in body parts.
Yes.
Like Mater is the
He's the Texas Chainsaw
yeah.
Massacre guy.
Yeah.
He's pretty
So
demented.
friendly.
Hey man, my radiator's back here. Holy
We
cow!
didn't have
you
the
moved your
Sawyer
radiator?
family there.
Yeah.
But yeah, just when it comes to go full circle back into it though, with the Left 4 Dead stuff, just having it removed, like I understand why, and it really sucks. But at the same time, it's gonna happen, and the only thing you can do is just buy a disc or just get on PC. Because I mean, 360s here in about I'd say 6 to 7 years, they're gonna have the same market as the GameCube, and trying to buy games for that. But and then when the digital releases come, this is going to be the first nostalgia, because I call it the nostalgia purchasing, because back when the Wii was out, everyone was buying NES, SNES. They were trying to play that. Right now, everyone's trying to get on GameCube, the Xbox, trying to play their old PS2 stuff. We give it about 6-7 years, we're gonna have the Xbox 360, the PS3, and Nintendo Wii U, like that kind of stuff. But this is going to be the first time where you're not going to be able to have the first experience, because if you don't have a Game of the Year edition, a comprehensive edition, you're not going to be able to play the full experience, because the downloadable content's not there anymore. It's gone. Unless you had it saved, or if you buy it off somebody, kind of like the PT thing with the PlayStation 4, there's no way in hell you're going to play that. So that is kind of the sucky part, is looking back, you're going to want to play it on the old stuff. This is going to be the first time ever that you're SOL, unless someone has the proper storage stuff.
And once you get to this current generation, every game's just going to be gone.
So it dawned on me right as I was talking about this, just going forward, this is going to be the first time where if you try to go back and play stuff, you better have the proper stuff, or it's not going to happen. And the prices are going to be way higher, because having something digital on something stored is going to be way harder.
Well, honestly, it's going to make a point. We're going to get to a point now where instead of selling games, people are going to be selling their accounts.
Yep, exactly.
It's going to be like
I'll be right back. Sorry, guys. 1 second.
It's going to be like the iPhones people sold because it still had Flappy Bird on it.
Yep, I remember that. That was a whole craze. The PlayStation 4s with a PT on it, there's still people selling those, and those are thousands now.
See, I think this kind of goes back to a thing we've discussed previously on this podcast, where it's like, it's terrible that games are no longer actually released as full games. They usually are released broken and in need of a patch. They're usually released where they're designed specifically to have that DLC the next like month to multiple months from now. So it's like they've made it now where you need to be, even if you have a physical disc, you're de facto a digital copy, because it never is launched complete or with DLC. So
good luck buying that disc in the future.
I mean, they don't even sell DLC on discs anymore.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I remember when Dragon Age, they did Awakening for, was that for Dragon Age Origins? Yeah. And that DLC, that was a legit DLC game, basically a full game, but that came on disc and it didn't cost the full price of the game, which was nice. So
yeah, the 360 era, the PS3, and the Wii U, that era of gaming is probably one of the most broken ones to go back to at this point.
Yeah, because that's when DLC was first introduced.
I think
and there's a lot of DLC that got locked behind weird licensing agreements that never made it forward, and you could only get them in pre-orders. I've actually come across some pre-order DLC that never got released after pre-order.
Chris, it can't possibly be as weird as the most recent era, though, because
but almost everything from the most recent era is still available for sale and is forward compatible. Like
but when we look into the future, you're not going to have
20 years.
You really don't have a physical disc for any of the games currently, because
I have discs. They're just licenses.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like that physical disc means nothing in the future. You've basically been put into the Game Pass world de facto, right?
Where you're required to be online to access it.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time before they stop pretending, and backwards compatibility is directly tied to services like Game Pass.
That's why I'm kind of buying all the old stuff from GameCube and prior. I have a whole game library, if you've seen the photo, where I'm kind of scared of that stuff too. So I want to have it's kind of like buying DVDs and stuff, because you never know when the streaming services are going to kind of screw you over. Everyone's like, why do you buy DVDs? Why do you buy CDs? I'm like, because I don't know if it's going to be up or not.
Yep.
See, I just don't have the space, man.
I hear you.
Hey, I actually like buying Blu-rays nowadays, because a lot of them come with the ultraviolet codes. So you have the physical backup. But when your kid at like 2 a.m. wakes up and wants to watch Moana, it's available on your Apple TV.
Yeah.
Yes, you slap
don't have to get out of your bed.
I always play the Blu-rays of movies I've liked. I never stop. So I guess it's starting to come full circle where people are catching up to that's still a good idea.
Exactly. Plus, I mean, physical is just cool to have displayed.
Yeah. Exactly.
If you have space for it, I think it's always better to go physical with these things.
Yeah. It's also easier to look at my shelf than it is to scroll through the gajillion crappy movies on Netflix.
And plus, you could always resell too, which is always really nice too. Because you can't resell digital.
Here's the question: when does a movie library come back, in the sense of like having a book library?
I mean, there's always. I mean, are we talking about like rentals or just at home?
No, as like a legit trend of people having their movie library again.
That's why I keep my OG NES and 64 GameCube and thinking about buying an NES. Yeah, that's a good thing to do. But
hey, speaking of SNESs, if you want to get one, now is the time. There is Analog just said they're putting out their last set of the FPGA version of the SNES, which looks really great on a HD TV. It's basically FPGA based, and it plays every single SNES game ever. So if you're looking at getting an SNES and don't want to spend a boatload of money making it work on HD TVs, Analog is doing probably their last run ever of their Super Nintendo FPGA console.
Neat.
I almost picked one up.
Andrew, I don't know.
I was trying to remember.
Right, it goes that, and a physical book library goes counter to the push for tiny homes.
Yeah, well, you can't see, but I have
true.
multiple bookshelves in this room. I can't read digital. I like flipping the pages, like the smell of books. You know, the fungus that's slowly eating the pages. Love it.
I do like my Kindle.
Yeah.
Now there is the argument for when you're buying physical that eventually degradation will affect the disc and whatnot.
Yeah.
They touted that it would last 100 years, but most say it'll last only 25 to 30 years before you'll notice like skipping with sound, or like sometimes the game won't load. So there is that problem going forward. And that's, I mean, I was going to bring it up too, is the biggest thing to keep any game alive is emulation. And to have a digital backup to where it's not behind a licensing thing, where it's just out in the open net. And that's what a lot of people do, especially with fucking Nintendo. God, I just want to play a game and it's like, oh, we're never going to release that. So
yeah, so like what I've been doing lately is I've been coming up with ways to back up my collections. So like, for example, on the GameCube, if you have an original GameCube with the serial port 2, you can back up all your discs to a SD card and plug that into the bottom to play them from there's like a memory card hack that you can use. And so that's what I've been doing. I've been backing up my library in any way, shape, or form I can, so that even if the disc were to fail, I can still play the games.
And I know there's going to be kind of a fad where a lot of people are going to buy up a shit ton of games for 3DS and Wii U and start selling those once the shop goes down. Because they did the same thing with Wii, because we had a great virtual console. Super fantastic. I had a lot of good games on there, like even Mario RPG. But I remember Scott the Waz even made a video of how everyone was just panicking up to that point. It was like doomsday for collectors and whatnot. So, yeah, I think it's like March 27th is the deadline for that.
There's a couple of DS games I want to pick up that I still don't own, like the Legend of Zelda DS games. I can get that on my Wii U. Probably going to get a couple of those.
Yeah, get them before they're gone and all that. But that's just Nintendo in general. Like, again, bring up where was it? Like, here's a limited time thing they did. We're only going to do it physical for a little bit. And it's like...
They removed the digital version, too.
Wait, they did? Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah. They did remove the digital.
Which makes
that was
no
the weirdest
sense.
Thing. It really does. Because really, every physical game is technically limited time availability, but, you know, the used market exists. It's like there's only going to be so many copies of any game printed. It's like, there's a limited print run of these games. However, sometimes those print runs are millions. Sometimes they're
And scalpers are like,
several thousand, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I heard that game sold like 10 million copies. So unless you left it sealed, it's probably
It is sealed. I actually bought 2 copies, one for
Yeah.
myself and one sealed, just so I could have like the whole. I
That
always wanted
sealed
to
one
see.
that sealed one might be worth a few bucks in the future, but the unsealed ones, there's like 10 million of them out there.
Because there's a part of me that's like, I wish because one of my biggest regrets in life is if you ever played Pokemon card or had collected Pokemon cards when you were younger.
Yeah.
I got the holographic Charizard from the first set when I was 9 or 10. I was so hyped. I was like, holy crap, this is awesome, because that was the one that was coveted and everything.
Yeah.
Well, I had a fat kid come over one day. I lived in a trailer park. He came over one day, he saw it, and he rips it in half and eats it. Eats it right in front of me. And I'm like, oh, I'm crying. My mom forces him to leave but looking at the price of it now, I'm just like, you just ate like thousands, because I still have all my old Pokemon cards in really good condition. You ate thousands and thousands. So the reason I bought that, I was like, maybe I could like harness that or something. But no, it's not a holographic Charizard. No.
That's like a comic book villain character doing something.
Yeah.
Like, who does that?
Yeah, I was just like, why would you eat it? What the hell? Like, I get the whole ripping it thing, but the eating it part, okay.
Like, this isn't like, Seto Kaiba and Yu-Gi-Oh! Stealing the last of the 4 Blue Eyes White Dragon. He's got 3 of them at home. Like,
that's basically what it was.
That's effed up, man. I'm sorry.
I know. That. It's all good. I started building up the collection again, so it's something.
I've still got my Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon cards. I can't tell you last time I broke them out, but I do still have them. Actually, you know what's making a comeback that I'm surprised about is, did you ever play HeroScape?
Yes.
HeroScape they're getting a new set of HeroScape coming out soon. It was a trading card game similar to like Yu-Gi-Oh! Or any of those things, but it was actually a grid-based like hexagonal playing field that was 3D. So you could stack the hexagons up, have like mountains.
Dude, I still have mine.
I still have mine too. I've got a whole box in my closet somewhere.
Did you get the one with the giant castle wall?
No, my friend had that one. I had the Toys R Us lava set though.
Okay.
Are you talking about structure decks?
What was that?
The structure decks? Or are you talking about HeroScape or Yu-Gi-Oh?
HeroScape.
Oh, okay.
HeroScape.
Okay, because there was 2 things that Yu-Gi-Oh had that was like, oh, I know that.
Wait, how much is HeroScape selling for these days?
Not enough. It's
okay.
like it's too.
You can always check TCG.
It'll stay in the boxes then for now.
It's worth about as much as you probably paid for it, but it's not going up in value.
Okay.
Like it's because it's a physical product that's 3D and then cards. Aside from that, it'll probably retain most of its value for most of the time that you would hold on to it, but it probably won't go up in value because you have to find somebody who actually wants it.
Yeah. Yeah, I tried looking it up on the main card website, but they only track Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Digimon, and a couple of.
You gotta go to eBay to find HeroScape.
HeroScape was less of a card game and more of a board game.
It's a combo card board game because you get the physical figurines. It's like light Warhammer.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
I don't know, Chris. Sounds like we should break out both of our sets and see.
I would happily break that out sometime. I actually have a couple custom characters. I bought some. What the heck was that game? There was another game that had like minifigures, and a lot of people were converting them to HeroScape figurines. Okay. And I did that with a few, and that was pretty cool. Actually, I made my own card for it and everything else. But to really get back to it, like collecting anything at this point, you should really just get the things you want, like because they're not going to last forever. That's what I've learned. Is if there's something you really want and you can afford it, it's not like it's going to go down in value quickly. And if you really want it, who cares?
Unless it's a car, then it goes down in value the moment you buy it.
Unless it's a classic car, those go up in value.
After a really long time.
You also limitedly drive it.
Yeah.
Here's the question, though, with the physical. Will we see prices go down because Gen Z does not appreciate the physical as much based purely on how they've been raised?
That's not how the collector's market works, Andy.
I understand that, but I'm just saying.
I get what you're saying.
There's going to be less people who value physical because they weren't raised with physical. I know people can talk about vinyl and stuff today, but that's explicitly because it does have a better audio file. And also, I think a lot of millennials who grew up with CDs tend to have a more favorable view towards vinyl than it is like Gen Z or anybody liking it. So
yeah, I've still got a stack of CDs in my car. I play for
Yeah.
audio quality.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, I don't know if Gen Z is necessarily the one going to drive collection of physical as much.
That's
I
understandable.
will say though,
yeah.
the few Gen Zers that have gotten into collecting, the few that I've talked to, like they're really into it. But that's not like it's few and far between.
Yep.
From a market standpoint, though, I follow like pricecharting.com and all that to see how video game prices fluctuate. And right around that sweet spot where people that were like between the ages of 5 and 15 when the console was, massive hype. When those people reach the age where they have like a stable income, that's when the prices of those games does this because of, like they have disposable income and they have nostalgia. And that's when the prices go up.
Right. But that's where I was going to say is the move. A lot of
you will see GameCube prices drop a little bit, but because of how rare the GameCube library is comparatively speaking to other libraries, it's not going to drop as significantly as like NES and Super Nintendo did.
I will vouch for
but
that.
I guess my thing is, will we see the same? I don't think we'll see the same when it comes to things like PS5, Xbox One. I don't think.
Oh, no doubt.
I don't
no.
see. I think it's hard to even say we'll see it too much for PS4 and the Xbox One.
PS4 has a better chance long term only because of how many systems are out there.
Right. I mean, a lot of the games came out not broken, but I'm just saying.
Well, another thing is with the current
Switch
consoles,
is most likely. The Switch is most likely to have a physical library collection.
I can see the Switch. I'm just
because
saying,
of the cartridges and. Sorry, Wow, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, you're fine. I was kind of interrupting myself, so that's or interrupting you. But the thing is, even to go with Andrew's point, is that hell, the new Xboxes, one of the versions is digital only.
Yeah.
So that just kind of pushes it even further. That we're just going to that
PlayStation.
Yeah. Oh, it has its own digital thing only. So, I mean, when the PS6 and I don't even know what the hell Xbox is next. I don't even know if they're going to do another console.
Yeah.
Just
the Game Pass box.
The GPC, the Game Pass console. But by then, they're probably only digital only because it's like, why are we manufacturing discs? It's just counterinductive to making money for us, having a box and all. Oh, man. To counterinject again, one thing I miss is going to buy a game, cracking it open, having that fresh game smell, and looking through the manual. I miss manuals, dude. God, looking through those on the drive home, man.
If you want manuals, I will say, although I don't always support them, Limited Run Games does actually produce manuals.
I have a couple of games from Limited Run. I love them. I go to conventions sometimes and see them, and I always get something from them.
The Star Wars KOTOR, I was really shocked when I opened it up because I was like, oh, this is going to be lazy LucasArts style, but I opened it up, full manual. I was like, holy shit, they really went full tilt for this game.
Oh yeah. But that's what I miss is also the manuals, and just that's a lot of the nostalgia factor of buying the old stuff too. Like even the 360 games, they had manuals that talked about the lore of it, control schemes, just being real creative with it. And that's just a lost art.
Talking about a digital only distributor. I mean, even Valve got in on the manual hype with 360. Like the orange box, that's got a nice manual.
Yeah, Left 4 Dead 1 and 2 had good manuals as well.
It did.
But I actually got them on sale for like either $4.99 or $9.99 digitally. So that's why I wound up getting Left 4 Dead digitally instead of physically.
Yeah.
I'm sure those manuals are nice, actually.
Yeah, completely. But yeah, just the digital versions. It just sucks that they're going away.
Yeah.
But honestly, I mean, we have the PC version, and at this point, I mean, PC is a lot more accessible for a lot more people these days, and playing stuff because like running Left 4 Dead 2, you could do that on a laptop without any issues.
Left 4 Dead 2 is also a Steam Deck confirmed or deck ready, whatever you want to call it.
I'm not surprised because I mean I could run that on a laptop that I had 4 years ago that couldn't run anything well, and it could still run Left 4 Dead.
But I think surprisingly, OG Left 4 Dead has an orange symbol, which means it's not entirely compatible with the Steam Deck. And I'm like, why?
I think it's because they haven't put the effort into Left 4 Dead 1 because Left 4 Dead 2 has everything the first one has. The only thing that Left 4 Dead 2 doesn't have is the dark atmosphere.
Fair point. Yeah, but
That's
I
basically
definitely agree with you. Wow, like video game preservation, it's very important to me, and it sucks that we've come to this point where we're realizing the 360 is not so permanent anymore.
Yeah.
Hey, just real quick, PK Thunder. No matter what, you never have to donate to enjoy our streams. Okay, so don't feel bad. You got no money to give. We're not even asking.
Who let him in the door?
He didn't pay the entry fee.
Yeah.
Right. And then one other thing, Doctor's Office did point this out when we
Yeah.
talked about this before. There is a disc add-on coming out for digital PS5.
Is that confirmed, or is that still just a rumor?
No,
It's
that
like
was
99.
confirmed.
It's like
I'm pretty
99% confirmed. So Sony could still kill it, but it's confirmed to be happening.
I think that's more so because of the supply chain problems.
It's to make
Yeah.
manufacturing
Yeah.
costs lower, because putting out 2 SKUs for the PS5 is painful. And so if they just do 1 SKU and then say, hey, the disc add-on is optional.
Well,
you
I
can
think
add it yourself,
you're missing something as well, Chris.
they can sell it for $100.
No, too many people are wanting the disc version instead of the digital version when they are given the choice, which means that their supply chain issue has it where the disc version sells out immediately, but maybe not the digital version. People are like holding out for the digital. So if you can promise a disc add-on later, those people now might actually consider buying the digital version, and you can ship more units in the short term because the digital version might be easier to ship than the disc version.
but like I said before, if you have 1 SKU, you can produce 1 console and then produce 1 add-on instead of producing 2 consoles.
Well, the disc
It's
add-on
more
is
expensive to produce too.
Is probably a cheaper thing to manufacture on its own. I just hope they actually make it look good as like a stand for
It's
the
just
PS5.
gonna have Velcro, and they're gonna slap it on the side.
Yes.
What it'll probably be is you'll remove the side plate, and they'll sell you the disc reader and the side plate. That's like the hump. And
it's kind of like the Xbox 360 with those external drives where you could just
the
click
HD
it in.
DVD drive.
Yeah.
Those things are god awful.
Well, there was also like Nintendo 64 with the disc drive, because they all got built with it where you could add it on, but only Japan ever had that.
Actually, there are a few like American ones that made it out the door.
Yeah, the prototypes.
They're technically like dev units and prototypes. Few people I've talked to have them. The other funny one is the Game Boy Advance reader for the GameCube. That adds that makes the cube more of a cube.
Oh yeah, I had one of those too, so I could play Pokemon on that. I remember that.
Yeah. So, is there anything else anybody wants to say? I know I like to do a hard cut at 10 and make sure we don't keep people too long. So.
I can't think of anything. It's just, if you want it digital, just buy the DLCs if you ever plan on it in the future. But Left 4 Dead 2 is usually $20 disc version. I doubt it's going to go up in price at all when this happens. I find it in retro game stores all the time. But I mean, it's always going to be on Steam. It's never not going to be on Steam. There's one person in the comments of my tweet that was like, "Oh, they're getting rid of it on Steam." It's like, I mean, Valve owns it, and they sell it for $2 a pop most of the time. So I really doubt it. I mean, they even updated it 2 years ago with community feedback. So, I mean, if you want, it's not necessary for Xbox. And some people say I could be sensationalizing, but it's just part of my nostalgia. Playing it on Xbox is where it got me where I am right now. I had a lot of memories with it. It's just a blow in the not childhood, because that was a teenager, but just a nostalgia hit, something like that. Yeah,
hits you right in the feels.
Yeah, right.
And just for the fun of it, you said somebody was worried they were removing it from Steam. Can you imagine how much of a shot in the foot that would be for Valve to remove their own game from Steam?
It's like all these streaming services removing TV shows that they shouldn't.
Yeah.
It's just like, why are you doing this? But yeah, I don't see Valve doing that.
That'd be so stupid. Like, it's free money at this point. It's been produced for how long now? Like, just leave it in your. Like, it doesn't cost them to host their own games. I imagine more than a few pennies.
And they get 100% of the funds from it.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Unlike the 30% they get everywhere else, you get 100% of the funds for Left 4 Dead. Anyways,
exactly.
Wow, we always appreciate having you on, man.
Yeah, thank you
for having me.
Make sure you guys go subscribe if you're not. YouTube.com/WildSuchGaming. The guy with the red shades, he matches his profile picture. As always, I'm Chris.
I'm Will.
I'm Andrew.
Wow.
And we will see you
on the next one.
Bye, guys.